BooTube! My guest just left, so now I could get back to, recording. This is part 2 of, Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 4, titled Blood in the Streets. This is a part 2 video, because I noticed in my part 1 I was already reaching like 14 minutes. I was like, no! But anyway, going back to Nick, remember, he arrived at a beach naked with his clothes and belongings wrapped in pretty much like in a container, I'm guessing waterproof, and strapped to him. He puts his clothes on, he goes to an abandoned camp, lures a walker to a tent, kills it, and puts its blood all over himself. Give me a sec. Sorry guys, I was watching something. But anyway, Nick, while covered in walker guts and blood, arrives at this gated community, and since he's masked by the blood, he pretty much walks through the walkers with no problem. They think that Nick is one of them, right? Which I think is so funny, because Nick does a very good job at being zombie-like. Just saying. Anyway, we get another amazing flashback. Well, not really amazing, but we get another flashback about Strand's life before the apocalypse, and I don't want to get too much into it, because I wasn't really into the... I love the fact that we got to see some background on Strand, but I wasn't really into it as much. So I'm gonna, like, get back to it. Hang, I hear sounds. Sorry, I keep hearing, like, noises everywhere. I'm, like, creeped out. But anyway, we get back to Strand, who's, of course, on his little raft that's quickly deflating, and he's clinging so desperately to it, because, of course, he's in that ocean. He's gonna get hypothermia, man, and he's gonna sink like a little rock, like, but like, he's clinging onto the deflated raft, and stupidly enough, he tries to make a call, and he drops the phone. He tries so desperately to catch it again, because it was barely falling. He managed to hit it a couple of times, but then just drops, and it's like, well, good job, dumbass. Your only little communication to whoever you're talking to is gone. Strand, the greatest man in the world. But like, back in the wheelhouse, you know, Travis tries, he's rewiring Abigail, and since Reed is the one watching him, he tells Reed that not only does he have to rewire Abigail, he has to go to the engine room to override all the computers, because Abigail itself is completely computerized, right? And, during the other moment of the hostage situation, Daniel's all telling Madison to try to distract Vida, because she's the one watching them, right? And she's like, distract her, I'm gonna try to loosen my bonds. Daniel, right now, is by far one of the smartest people in this Fear the Walking Dead, because he's using his head. He's not gonna take this whole hostage shit laying down, obviously. Like, Travis is complicit, although I think he's also buying time, because he keeps saying stuff like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I think he's trying to buy time, at the same time actually doing what he's told. You know, it's like a double-edged sword. He's doing what he's told, but at the same time, I think he's also stalling. Madison's just sitting there, not doing shit. And Daniel takes the initiative, he's like, you know what, screw this, I'm not gonna be hostage like this. You distract her while I try to break free. And so Madison strikes a conversation with Vida about her pregnancy, because the blood was obviously fake, because she wiped it off in the bathroom after she knocked Madison out. But, she's all asking, how far along are you and all that stuff, and quite frankly, I'm kind of worried about this pregnant chick, because despite that she seems like a very hostile woman, she seems like she should be due any moment now, and it doesn't look like she's getting any, like, judging by the answer she gives Madison, it's almost like that baby died. It's not moving, hasn't kicked, hasn't done shit, and it's kind of worrying me, because we have never seen a pregnant woman, with the exception of Lori from the original Walking Dead, we have never really seen a pregnant woman with a stillborn child still inside of her. I mean, there's only 2 people out of all 6 seasons so far of the original Walking Dead show we've only seen 2 pregnant women. Lori and now Maggie, right? From what I remember. And I'm even gonna count the Walking Dead the video game from Telltale, seasons 1 and 2, okay? You put seasons 1 and 2 of the Telltale video game of Walking Dead, and then you get seasons 1 through 6 of the Walking Dead show. So far, you put them together, you have 4 pregnant women, okay? 4. Lori gave birth and died. Carl had no choice but to shoot her before she turned. Maggie, for all we know, is still pregnant, but by the end of the 6th season, she was having some trouble, some difficulties. She's having some serious stomach pains and all that stuff, and abdomen pain. She could be in trouble. We don't know, but last time we saw her, she was alive, but very pale and looked like she was in pain, okay? So that's both of the pregnant women we've seen on the show. And then there are the video game, seasons 1 and 2, because so far we've only seen seasons 1 and 2. And season 1, there was Krista, who in the beginning we found out by the end of season 1 was pregnant, but she obviously wasn't really showing. She was still kind of flat-stomached. But in season 2, in the beginning, we see that she is fully pregnant and ready to pop, right? But then there's this incident where her baby daddy, Omid, gets shot and killed. And then after that whole scene, we end up getting a time jump to 6 months later, where it's literally just Clementine and Krista. And when we see Krista, flat stomach, the baby just disappeared, okay? And yet there is no explanation about that baby. So I'm going to go back to that some other time. And then, I think, who else was pregnant? Oh, that one African-American chick. I forgot her name already, but like the new group that Clementine ends up being in right after she separates from Krista. It has Luke and Carlos and all them. There was one African-American chick with her husband. She was pregnant too. And we all know, spoiler alert for you guys who haven't played season 2 and don't know what happened. Spoiler alert. That lady ended up giving birth kind of like midway in season 2. And it did not go out well for her because she was very weak. They were traveling and all that stuff. She had the baby in her hands, and she does unfortunately die, I think, from blood loss, and I think hypothermia because it was like winter time when she gave birth, and you know it was freakishly cold, and she's already suffering from blood loss by giving birth. She ended up dying, and she did turn into a walker, and Clementine had no choice but to shoot that lady in the head because she saw that, you know, she was kind of passed out, sitting down. She had the baby in her arms, and then she saw that the lady would turn into a walker. She still had the baby in her arms, so she had no choice but to shoot her. So out of all 3 of them on the show, 4 of them, the 2 in the show, we already seen 1 die from childbirth, and in the game we saw 1 die also from childbirth. Maggie looks like she's somewhat dying because you see her, she's kind of pale at the end of the 6th season. She's pale. She's having abdomen pains. She's pale as hell, and she looks like she's in pain. So we don't know the fate of Maggie, but it doesn't look good. And obviously after the death of Omid, the baby father, Krista, the baby's gone. Like, she was fully pregnant when we saw the death of Omid. And then they get a time jump 6 months later, and she has a flat stomach, and the baby's nowhere to be found. So, sorry, I'm like rambling now. Let's get back to the topic. I'll probably talk about this some other time. But anyway, back in the engine room, Reed recommends Travis to have the boat running and ready to run by the time their boss man Connor arrives, for his own sake, because he said, you know, by the time of Connor arrives, you better prove your value by pretty much getting this boat running. So I think like he's pretty much telling Reed, you know, prove your worth to Connor by the time he arrives. So maybe he'll keep you, right? I think that's what he's trying to tell Travis. But anyway, back to Jack, that asshole. He radios Connor and reports that Connor reports that he's on his way to the Abigail, right? And he pretty much tells his story about why he's, you know, in a way working for Connor. tells Alicia, you know, Connor saved his life, so he owes him for it. But at the same time, despite the fact that he owes Connor because Connor saved Jack's life, he doesn't enjoy what he does. So we see that there's a possibility of humanity in Jack. Like, he is only working for Connor only because it's kind of like a life debt. He nearly died. Jack saves his life. So in order to pay him back, you know, you saved my life. I'll pretty much give my life to you in your service, right? It's a life debt. He doesn't like what Connor makes him do, but he has morals in a way. His morals are, someone saves your life, you owe him or her a life debt, and that's exactly what he's doing. That's his, in a way, it's his morals. It's his principles. You know what I mean? And no matter, even though in his mind and heart, it's not the right thing to do what he's doing for Connor, he has principles and morals. No, not morals. I would say principles. And he looks like someone doesn't break his principles. You know what I mean? It's like, when I make a promise, I keep it kind of person. You know what I mean? And during all that, he invites Alicia to join their group. And you know, Alicia doesn't want to abandon her family. I mean, come on, it's her mother, her father, her mother's man, and his kid. She doesn't want to abandon her family. But Jack promises that if you join our group, I promise you your family's safety. Even if Connor doesn't accept all of your family, I promise you that if he doesn't accept your entire family and you join our group, I promise you your family will be safe. We will leave them alone. They'll be fine. Just come with me. Connor won't accept everyone, or probably none of the other people in your group, but they'll be safe. Just come with me to join the group. And during all that, she actually hugs him. I don't know if that was a fake hug, or I don't know if that hug was sympathetic to him, because, you know, Jack told the whole life debt thing, or it's a ploy to try to make Jack believe that she's on his side or something. I don't know. But anyway, back to Nick. Nick manages to go in front of this house, ends up knocking on the front door. Apparently this is the house that he's supposed to look for, apparently, because I'm guessing he's on some sort of mission, because why else would he swim out in the middle of the night, naked, and show up at an abandoned refugee camp, kill a walker, cover himself in walker blood and guts, arrive at this closed gated community, and look for a certain house. He's obviously on a mission, and when I first saw it, I'm not sure if he was on a mission on his own terms, or someone told him, maybe Strand. But he arrives at this home and knocks on the door, and this guy comes out of nowhere and sneaks up on him with a gun. And Nick's trying to explain, yo, Strand sent me, and all that stuff, on the Abigail. And that apparently stops this guy from, you know, he lowers his gun down, it's like, Strand. He recognizes the name Strand, he recognizes the name Abigail, so he lowers his gun. And the guy's name apparently is Luis, from what I heard. And when we get back to Luis and Nick, you see Luis loading a bunch of luggage in his car, which is a nice-ass car, by the way. Why would you need that car in an apocalypse? Do you know there's an apocalypse? You don't need that stupid sports car, dude. Just saying. But, like, kind of reminds me in, like, I think it was season 1 when Glenn found that red sports car. That shit was funny. And remember Zach from, the governor's group that ended up in the prison, ended up dating Beth? Remember he had, like, a sporty-looking car, too? Sports cars in the apocalypse, guys! And I'm running out of time because I ranted earlier. I'm so sorry. I'm literally going to have an actual part 3 and possible part 4 if I keep doing this, but I will see you guys in the next video, and I'm so sorry.